Good evening, everyone. If I could get everybody to move down and take your seats, we can get this show on the road. My name is Brian Rodolfo, and I am the Executive Director here at the Cabot Theater. I'd like to thank you all so much for being here. It makes a big difference for a project like this when the community shows up to give their opinions and to voice what they want, because really the future is shaped by the people that show up, and that's you. So we greatly appreciate that. I just have a few thank yous that I'd like to make before we get started. Well, first, I just want to give everybody a quick update on the Cabot. As you can see, we are opened. Welcome back for those of you who haven't been here. So we opened a week ago Monday with Steve Winwood. It was a great show. It was kind of a photo finish to make sure that we were going to get open. We still have maybe 2 months worth of work to do out front on the facade of the building to get it done, but it's going to be stunning when it's finished. And thank you all for sticking with us and supporting us during all of that. First, I'd like to start by thanking Kimberly Ballard. Kimberly is our Director of Philanthropy and Community Outreach. She's responsible for putting, in addition to raising all of the money to pay for this stuff, she's responsible for putting together all of these community conversations and our education programs. I think she does a wonderful job. I think it's a great service. I love that we do this at the Cabot. And thank you so much, Kimberly, for all of your time and your work on that. I'd also like to thank Beverly Main Streets, who worked so hard, worked with the city to get this report done. That's Aaron Truex and Becky Green put a tremendous amount of time, in addition to the Beverly 2030 committee, to gather all this information and put it together. And it's really very exciting that we have this and that we get to have this conversation as a community and decide and figure out where we want to head. So I think that is about all of the notes I have. We have a short video that we'd like everybody to watch first about Beverly. Thanks so much for being here.
Beverly, Massachusetts is an iconic North Shore city that's been winning hearts left and right. It is home to more than 42,000 people and brings in thousands more for work and play. From its seaside charm to its thriving cultural district, to the nearly 400 small businesses making their mark here, Beverly is embracing its status as a destination for residents and visitors alike. The community spirit found here is truly noteworthy. We see it in the support between small business owners, the eagerness to volunteer and get involved, and the excitement surrounding our public events. Through our work at Beverly Main Streets, we've met people who have lived in Beverly 40+ years and never plan on leaving. And we've met folks who have relocated from other states entirely, because upon visiting Beverly for the first time, they knew it would be home. Beverly boasts a fascinating maritime history and a key role in the Industrial Revolution. In addition, it is home to 2 historic theaters, Historic Beverly, Endicott College and Montserrat College of Art, a highly engaging public library, a dynamic restaurant scene, and creative studios where you can learn everything from ceramics to embroidery to traditional Italian cooking. Downtown is accessible by train, highly walkable, and has green spaces and places to gather. Beverly is full of both established and emerging artists, as well as striking public art and beloved local happenings such as Arts Fest and the Downtown Art Crawl. Every day we see new faces participating in the community. There really is a place for everyone here. As Main Street's volunteer Susan Whitelocks says, if you open your heart to Beverly, they're going to welcome you in.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for spending your Wednesday evening with us. Thank you, you're all too kind. I hope you enjoyed the video and want to thank BevCam, who's filming the event tonight, for providing that incredible drone footage that you just saw. Thank you also to Historic Beverly and the City of Beverly for providing some of the photos you will see tonight. I am so excited to be standing in the Cabot right now. If you haven't seen the beautiful renovations from the outside, be sure to take a moment and look at those on your way out. They're absolutely stunning. A huge thank you to the Cabot team for hosting us tonight and for making my theater kid heart happy by allowing me to stand on this gorgeous stage. And now, a monologue from Tom Stoppard's absurdist tragicomedy, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. I'm kidding, we don't have the space for that long. No, I'm here tonight because I love Beverly just as much as you do, and I'm excited to see its future. My name is Becky Green, and my day job is Community Engagement Manager with Beverly Main Streets. You might have seen me out on the street doing a lot of this. Every Friday, we bring you the Bev Weekend Roundup, but every day, we're out there making Beverly the coolest place to live, work, and visit. Aaron Truex and I are the small but mighty staff of 2 at Beverly Main Streets. Everyone else you see working for the organization, from our board of directors to our committee members to our event staff, is a volunteer. They share with us their time, energy, and dedication because they care deeply about Beverly, and they want it to always be a place that is inclusive and welcoming for everyone. We may have achieved the legendary status of hottest zip code in the US, go Beverly, but we need to back that up. Now, more than ever, we need to listen to and engage with one another, uplift the independent businesses that represent the lifeblood of this city, and turn community feedback into actionable goals that will help shape its future. These goals represent waypoints in the strategic plan outlined by our Downtown 2030 Committee. This committee strives to build a collective vision for the future of Beverly. No small task, but one they throw themselves into wholeheartedly. The guidelines set forth as we approach 2030 are built on the Downtown 2020 strategic plan, which bolstered the creative sector, paved the way for business and property improvements, and made advancements in small business support. Tonight, you will hear about findings from Phase 2 of the Downtown 2030 Community Survey, the goal of which is to identify what respondents feel is most needed in today's and tomorrow's Beverly. I'll let our next speakers share a bit more about that, but let me thank you one more time for coming out tonight and showing up for Beverly. When people ask me what makes this city special, it's easy to talk about the thriving arts and culture scene, the historic theaters, the waterfront access, the shops and restaurants you can't find anywhere else, the fact that every year we have a new quirky animal celebrity. But those are all things you can point to. And what I'm trying to get at is that the thing that makes Beverly so awesome is the feeling it inspires. For so many, Beverly is both the comfort of home and the thrill of a new adventure, wrapped into one, like a really awesome burrito. Before I introduce our next speaker, I will make you listen to just one quote from Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. One must think of the future. After all, one is having it all the time. Now, and now, and now. So, let's think about Beverly's future together, because it starts right now. Please join me in welcoming our incoming president. You may recognize him from his work with the Greater Beverly YMCA. He wears many hats around here. Please welcome Arthur Athanas.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this community conversation about our downtown. As Becky said, my name is Arthur Athanas, and I'm the incoming president of Beverly Main Streets. as you probably know, Main Streets is a nonprofit organization started in 2002 by a group of residents, businesses, and entrepreneurs. Today, it's comprised of business owners, residents, representatives of many different constituencies, and everyone's committed to promoting and enhancing Beverly's downtown economic vitality, cultural and historic resources, and the overall quality of life. In the community, Beverly Main Streets is the organization that's a partner, an advocate with City Hall, and with many other organizations. It's the event host for things like Arts Fest, the Block Party, the Fall Fest, and then the Winter Market. It's an organization that we're all really proud of. We have a lot of fun working for. Our work as a catalyst and a partner and an advocate and an influencer is done by a board, many committees, and two of the most incredible staff people that you would ever have the pleasure of working with. I mean, a round of applause is definitely over and over again deserved for Becky and for Aaron. As the executive director and the community engagement manager, they're just unbelievable people. The work of the Downtown 2030 Committee has been an ongoing effort that was transitioned from the previous Downtown 2020 Committee, and it's a high priority for Beverly Main Streets for a variety of reasons. I'd like to recognize the members of the committee, so if you're in the audience, please stand for a moment. Thank you. I won't introduce everybody, but in your report, you'll find bios of everybody that's on the committee. Tonight, we're really fortunate to be here at the Cabot and to engage in a healthy and optimistic conversation about ways to improve an already terrific downtown Beverly. And the goal for tonight is to create as much time as possible for the audience, input, exchanges with our panel in this 90-minute or so window. So thanks everyone for coming out tonight and participating in this work. And for those of you who responded to the survey, thank you as well. I'd like to next introduce to you our outgoing president and the chairperson of the Downtown 2030 Committee, Paul Gentili, owner of Gentili Brewing.
Thank you, Arthur. Good evening and welcome. Thank you all for being here. And thank you to the Cabot for hosting and La Cuchara for feeding us tonight. If you haven't had anything, please go ahead. And thanks to the weather, which resulted in a canceled farmer's market today in another town, we also have pastries from Bonnie Bread available in the lobby after the program. Okay. So as Arthur mentioned, I am the outgoing president of the board of directors for Beverly Main Streets. I served for 2 years from 2023 to just recently, following Dr. Jen Yangel's 2 years, which followed Brenda Murphy's nearly 2 years, whose term started pre-COVID. No pressure, Arthur. I tell you this to give you a bit of context about our organization. We have been through a lot in the past 5 years, as a world and as a community. Back in the before times, I was a member of the Downtown 2020 Committee, and we had accomplished all of our goals for that decade, 2010-ish to 2020, and we were debuting the Downtown 2030 Committee and goals. Then chaos ensued, and as we relaunched the Downtown 2030 Committee, with me as its chair and also president of the board, I was not convinced that the goals that we had set forth still held true. So we started this process with some listening sessions in 2024, give or take, with wards 1 and 2, and some of the landlords downtown, but the other wards were a bit harder to organize. And we wanted to gather kind of a holistic picture of Beverly, so we decided to launch the online survey. And as a committee, once we kind of gathered those initial results, we decided that a phase 2 was necessary to give some better detail. So thank you to everyone that completed those surveys. Some of you are likely in this room to help us in this journey. And Aaron will be presenting those results shortly. At its core, Beverly Main Streets advocates for the downtown of our city. We accomplish this by attracting new businesses to the downtown while supporting those that already exist here. Thank you, business owners, and our Economic Vitality Committee. Promoting the downtown as the awesome place that it is. Thank you, Becky and Aaron, for your weekend roundups and to our promotions committee. Designing a welcoming and cool downtown. Thank you, creatives, artists, and muralists, for your talent and our design committee. And maintaining a strong organization to plan for the future. Thank you to our sponsors, small and large, and our board of directors and all of our volunteers for your time and energy. Our organization nearly folded a few years ago. Thanks to Endicott College and the city of Beverly, who saw the value of a small but mighty nonprofit fighting for the betterment of the downtown, and to the hard work of our staff and volunteers, we survived. But the work doesn't end, and neither does the cost. If you like what you hear and see tonight, consider donating some of your time, talent, or treasure. Volunteer at an event, join a committee, or become a recurring monthly donor. Find Becky or Aaron after we wrap, and they will be happy to get you set up. And now to the meat of it. We are aware as a committee that the results of the survey have some gaps, but we were able to get a great picture of where we are and where we should focus in the coming years. It is merely the start of the conversation, and tonight is its continuation. And as the needs of the city, its businesses, and its residents change, we will be here advocating to make it better. Without further ado and blabbering, I would like to introduce our Executive Director, Erin Truex, to wow you with the survey results and to also lead our panel discussion. Erin?
Hello. We're going to have a lot of data to go over, so we're going to have a few woohoos plugged in there, here and there. I have to be honest, though, it's so nice to have an event where a rainy day doesn't matter. Like, I can't even begin to tell you. If only we could have Arts Fest just completely indoors, we'll put a big tent, but there was something really relaxing. Like, this is what outdoor events are. It's great. It's wonderful. I want to thank Becky, Paul, and Arthur, and also give my thanks to the Cabot for hosting us this evening, La Cachara for the wonderful refreshments, and BevCam and City of Beverly for providing us with so many great audio video needs. It's really weird for me to be up here without my right-hand woman. I often don't think people really know who I am unless I'm standing here with Becky. And I'm not going to bring up my right-hand woman, but I have a left-hand woman who's going to help me with a very special announcement. So I'd like to welcome Nancy Gardella from north of Boston.
Good evening, everyone. As Erin said, my name is Nancy Gardella, and I'm with the North of Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau. And that is a very long name for an organization who is responsible for bringing tourists from all over the world to Essex County to infuse our communities with their money. Staying in our hotels, eating at our restaurants, shopping in our stores, supporting our small businesses throughout the county. And I'm thrilled to tell you that Essex County continues to be a premier destination for people coming to New England. In fact, in 2024, millions of visitors spent $1.2 billion in Essex County alone. And so when I tell you tourism is big business, it's $1.2 billion spent in our neck of the woods alone that makes tourism the third largest industry in Massachusetts. But as much as I would like to take the credit for doing that alone, I can't. We do it with some key partners. And I'm here to tell you today that one of the ways that we celebrate relationships in our community is through our annual tourism awards. Now, this is different than popularity, best of awards. Those are super fun. But ours celebrates businesses and people in our community that elevate us all, right? That point of service person who makes you feel so good when you're traveling, right? Or that business, when you leave, you want to tell everybody about it on your social media, or recommend it to everyone when they go places. And it turns out that our committee, who are reviewing possible nominees for the 2025 Tourism Awards, picked a couple of nominees very close to home, including Beverly Main Streets as a new member of the CVB that has made a tremendous impact in the year that they have been a member, has been nominated. And one other person has been nominated, and this is a person that we have all gotten to know pretty well, the frontline person whose weekend roundups are now famous and expected and looked forward to, that person that, as she runs around Beverly, is that tireless ambassador. So I was invited here to let you know that your own Becky Green has been nominated for a Frontline Hospitality Award this year. And I think you all know why. To say that, you know, we have all seen the Academy Award winners, oh, I'm just thrilled to be nominated, or, you know, to be nominated in this category, there's stiff competition. But Becky rose to our committee. Becky embodies what we think of as extraordinary, hands-on frontline hospitality, representing this community and all of our regions so well. So congratulations, Becky. And Erin, thank you for letting me come tonight.
I'm going to have Becky just stand up in the crowd if we can give her a quick round of applause for all of her hard work. Now you know what that very vague announcement in my speaking notes was. It really is such an honor to be nominated, especially in a remarkable community, and Becky does so much. I could list her accolades, but to be able to recognize her and have Nancy come here and share that announcement with you all, I just thought it'd be a great way to really kick off the event, because at the heart of what we do is really the people and the human interactions. And so thank you for humoring us for a little bit. I am now going to jump into our report, but before I do that, I'm going to provide some background and high-level information on the report and then invite up our panelists. As Arthur had mentioned, our goal really is to turn it over to the audience so we can have some question and answer time. So a bit about our process. We've been engaging the community for several years, and in the next slide, I'll tell you a bit more about the methodology that we used. For the past few months, the Downtown 2030 Committee, which is comprised of residents, developers, small business owners, nonprofit leaders, and members of our board, have been reviewing the data and meet on a monthly basis. In particular, we spent a lot of time on the data from Survey 1 to help inform our questions and approach for Survey 2. Tonight, we're presenting the findings, and we hope to use what comes out of this report, as well as the conversation this evening, to implement our work going forward. For methodology used, we didn't want anyone to feel like they couldn't have a chance to engage with us on this project. We began with interviews, conversations within our committee, and early focus groups. And some of those focus groups that we engaged are listed above. We launched phase 1 of our Downtown 2030 survey earlier this year. We continued with focus groups for a variety of constituents, some of which are also listed above. I do want to note that while our survey was administered digitally, we also had paper copies available and the opportunity for folks to mail them in or drop them off at our office. We wanted to make it as accessible as possible. Respondents were given the option to report surveys anonymously, and then committee input was incredibly important and helped us review the hundreds of responses. We did incorporate some data from the US Census Bureau, as well as other nonprofits that had conducted similar surveys, so we had a starting point on where we wanted to take this process. And a bit about our respondents. 55% of respondents have noted that they lived in Beverly for over 10 years. The next largest group was residing in Beverly for 5 to 10 years, and then after that, folks that had been here for less than a year. We did have a small section of respondents that did not live in Beverly, but worked or owned a business in the city. Outside of our city, these targeted groups, we did have additional conversations at all of our large-scale events and incorporated downtown 2030 conversations at our smaller scale events like the Beverly Business Meetups and Creative Connections. Now for the survey findings, and number one is going to be a shocker to everyone. Parking! Let's clap for parking. Come on, let's just do it. It's very lonely up here. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone surprised? So 50% of respondents noted the need for improved parking, particularly around wayfinding. Much of the feedback noted in the survey and in our community conversations that wayfinding was actually a bigger barrier and that parking wasn't necessarily unavailable, but people were unable to find it. Late in the afternoon, which was defined as 3 to 6 p.m., and the evening, which was defined as 6 to 9 p.m., were when people had the most difficulty finding parking. In terms of types of parking, residents and respondents wanted additional street parking and favored that over public lots. They also noted that there was quite a few popular reasons to get downtown and noted that the difficulty in parking did align with peak events at the Cabot and at our restaurants. We also received a lot of requests for accommodations for other methods of transportation. These include dedicated lanes and bike racks, and bikes and e-bikes were both mentioned frequently. Respondents also noted a real desire for increased lighting and gathering spaces, especially since the spaces can serve as a cultural hub and a meeting spot for our community. We know from our Downtown 2020 survey that this was a sentiment shared, and many respondents found safety and security as they were in businesses, but often felt like that went out the window when they walked on the streets. Speaking on lighting further, respondents stated that there were some improved lighting on Cabot and lesser Rantoul, but on the side streets in particular, especially as you utilize public lots, people were having difficulty in the dim lighting. Accessibility also came up quite a bit, particularly in Survey 2, as it related to local services. Housing, aid for seniors, legal services, and childcare were all included with the same frequency. 53% of respondents of all social service, 53% is representative of all social services collectively. And as the bullet point states, transportation, lack of social services, and awareness as to what social services were available were often the biggest reasons for why folks were not accessing them. Respondents shared a desire to be able to access basic needs and staples within the community rather than having to go to big box stores or travel outside of Beverly. 62% highlighted a need for a grocery store, and there was a special emphasis on fresh produce and dairy. Women's clothing stores, men's clothing stores, and hardware stores were also listed. The sentiment of convenience came up quite a bit in this category. Public art was mentioned as a real win for Beverly, and murals, sculptures, interactive art, and seasonal displays were all listed as top priorities for public art. Several responses noted the uniqueness of our approach to public art, like the displays at the Family Dollar, sidewalk poetry, and a real desire to see more. Respondents had asked for more galleries that featured our local artists. For additional art installations, Rantoul Street and the area around Beverly Depot were named as places that need additional art desperately. Respondents stated that they did feel like they could access local leadership. In particular, respondents noted their access to ward counselors and school committee members, which we found was a really significant win for what we were looking for. And now we're looking ahead to Beverly's future. Across all responses, we compiled priority areas of what we'd like to focus on. These reflect feedback provided in Survey 2 and were collapsed into complementing categories. These are access to essential goods, I lost a page. Access to essential goods, connection to services, improved navigation, and parking access. We feel like there are secondary strategies like improved lighting and wayfinding that will lend themselves to these efforts. So with that is the overview of our report. It will be available at the completion of this program down in the lobby. But for now, I'd like to invite our panel for a discussion around Beverly's future. I'm excited to welcome Tom Holland, owner of A&B Burgers, Chris Copeland, president of Beverly Crossing, Brenda Murphy, chair of the Beverly Cultural Council, and Brian Rodolfo, the executive director of the lovely Cabot. Their bios were provided in the lobby. Welcome. missing someone? She's coming. Okay. What did you do to her?
We lost Brenda.
She's on artist time. Hi, Brenda. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us this evening. So as I said, we do have a few questions that were submitted, but the duration, that will be very brief. We really want to open up to audience question, whether it be for anyone on the panel or for myself at Beverly Main Streets. So before we really get into it, I'd like to start with each of you. Chris, maybe we'll go with you first. I'd like you to let me know what you love about Beverly.
That's I could spend a long time answering that. So I grew up on Vine Street in Beverly Farms. All my kids were born in Beverly. Spent a lot of years here working downtown and really just trying to find a way to develop more housing, figure out how to make the Depot Square, all that area around the train station work, following the guidance of a guy named Steve Dodge. But the diversity that really is underpinning everything that Beverly has and does, and from a development standpoint, when you look at things like 5 train stops, sewer, power, roads, highway access, schools, everything that is here is just the amazing ingredients for building more housing, I think, and compelling to build mixed use in particular, where there's active ground floor and people living above. That's been our sort of guiding light, transit-oriented development. But, Beverly, just the diversity is amazing here. So.
It's hard to follow that. Everything Chris has said is really what embodies Beverly. But for me, particularly being in the hospitality industry and a restaurant owner, what I love about Beverly are y'all, the people. Beverly has amazing residents. They have people that have welcomed us in. I'm not a resident, so I came to Beverly not really knowing what I was going to find. And we were welcomed immediately. It's been 10 years now. I've watched families grow, kids go off to college, come back after graduating from college, new families growing that. So it really what makes Beverly unique for me, having lived in other communities and restaurants in other communities, are the people here. That's really what's allowed A&B to thrive. And that's really what will keep us moving forward. For sure.
So I've only been here in Beverly for about 6 months now, just under 6 months. And what I really love about Beverly is it already feels like home. Pretty much from the day I got here, I think everybody was just so warm and so welcoming, but more than that, so excited about this community and so excited to be here. I love how everybody embraces the history we have all around us of Beverly, but looks to the future of what's next, as evidenced by everybody here in the room tonight. And particularly, I love hearing stories. I'll go to lunches or be at a meeting somewhere and talking with some guys who are now retired, who are talking with some other guys in the room who are retired, who are telling me stories about when they were in kindergarten together, or when they played football together. And the fact that Beverly has that kind of sort of magnetic power to just draw everybody back and keep everybody here. So I'm just thrilled to be part of this community.
Glad to have you.
So what do I love best? That's a tough one. We have that beautiful ocean. We have access to everything. We have creativity and art everywhere. But what really I love the most about Beverly is the sense of community. That's truly what the heartbeat of the city is.
Thank you. So, Chris, we're going to get started with you. Dun, dun, dun.
Parking.
Parking. As a developer, how are you going to resolve parking?
Garage.
We would like you, can you explain a bit more about Beverly Crossing's approach to redeveloping Rantoul Street? And if you're able, can you name your last project in Beverly and how your past work really informed that process?
Yeah, sure. The whole process of bringing these projects to fruition starts with, I think most might know this, but these Ward 2 Civic Association meetings. it's working with local talent, like an architect that's based in Beverly, an attorney that's on Washington Street, engaging with the community, learning the zoning, talking to the mayor, talking to planning directors, 2 of them at this point. But again, I think it just comes down to, well, our latest project was the block downtown at Odell Square. We were a participant at Amara, which is down at the very far southern end by the bridge there, but that was a joint venture deal. But just trying to get these projects to have a piece of something for everyone. You know, what does it look like? What's on the ground floor? What retail you're going to have? I know. Pulling all that together from a community aspect. And I have to say, the project at the block was a result of community input. You know, we had a tower on the corner and folks, and we were trying to figure out a way to save that building at the end of the process, resulted in what you see today, obviously, that has Harbor Suites and I think a pretty engaging ground floor. But it's not easy, but you know, that's what we kind of look for and start with is feedback.
Great. Yeah. Tom, I'm going to turn it over to you. As you mentioned, you've been a business owner in Beverly for over 10 years and through many iterations. What is the biggest strength and opportunity you see in this community as a small business owner?
Really easy. Accessibility. Accessibility to the people that that make the decisions here. The people, I'll say, starting with the mayor and the city council and the department heads. Our government here for 10 years now has been one that has tried to solve problems for me instead of just saying no first, saying that's not how we do things here. We've, over 10 years, run into many problems and challenges, whether it was from COVID or road construction or just changes in people's habits. Every time I've approached City Hall, I'll tell you that they open their door, they listen, and they react. And it was the main reason I came to Beverly. We had initially opened in Salem. The location we chose in Salem was not a great location, and I had the ability to come here, and Andy Goldberg and the Goldbergs brought me in. And I looked at it and I thought, this is a huge project. It's an empty grocery store that has been shut down for years. And
skate park.
Yeah, it was a skate park. Well, it hadn't been a skate park yet. And it looked like a scene out of a horror film. And we're not a big corporation. It's my wife and myself. And, we tried to figure out how we were going to do this. I was like, I can't do this. And my phone rang. It was a Beverly number. I didn't know who it was, and I picked it up, and it was Mayor Cahill. And he said, Tom, I heard you're interested. I'd like to meet with you. Could you meet me on Friday? And I showed up in a city hall, and the heads of every single department in the city was there and sat there and said, we want you to do this project. How can we help? And that's why I said, okay, I got to figure out how to do this. And it's been 10 years, and that's never changed. We've had different people in different offices and different counselors and whatnot, but the accessibility to the people that help me grow is always there.
And Brian, you're new to Beverly, as you mentioned, but you're representing a cultural institution in the city that already has significant cultural resources, including the Larkham, North Shore Music Theater, and Off Cabot. Can you share a bit more about your role in running a mainstay in the community and why local community investment in the arts is so important?
I'll take the second part first. Why is it important to invest in the arts and into culture? Every theater I have worked at in my entire career, from 300 seats to 3,000 seats, all had one story in common. They were either historic buildings like this that were in a downtown area that had fallen on disrepair, the community had kind of gone a little bit by the wayside, or it was a brand new construction. And within years of building that theater, the towns just come to life. And you see the people flooding downtowns, the restaurants open, shops open, and it just breeds a sense of pride and a breath of fresh air into the community and inspires everyone to what's next. So that's why it's important to invest in the arts, is to keep that going and to keep that growing. And I think we're very, very lucky here in this community. We have not just the Cabot, but we have the Larkham right down the street. So to have two beautiful historic venues right in downtown that can provide complementing entertainment and programming for everybody it's a gift. And I think with North Shore Music Theater to kind of round us out, a little bit on the outside of town, but they do incredible work there. So I think that's the importance of the arts. And I think my role as far as stewarding this particular organization, but the arts in general, is really to kind of get to know everybody, to meet with everybody, and to see if I can put my finger on the pulse of Beverly and figure out what it is that people want. Do we want more big name artists? Do we want ballet? Do we want film series? Do we want cover bands? It's really my role here, is to get everybody excited, be the driver for downtown, once again, along with the Larkham, and to just keep it exciting.
Awesome. Thank you. Brenda, Beverly has the distinction of being a cultural district, as recognized by Mass Cultural Council. What has been your favorite project to date that the Beverly Cultural Council has funded, and why?
Yes, Beverly is one of 58 towns in Massachusetts that is designated a cultural district out of 351 towns, and they are not taking any new applications till fiscal year 27, so we're very fortunate to have the designation. We are a volunteer cultural council. Currently, there's 9 people on the council, and we get money from the Mass Cultural Council. This year, we were allotted $26,600 for projects that will take place in 2026. Applications opened on September 2nd, and the deadline is October 16th. If anybody in here has a project or knows of someone who has a project that's coming up in 2026. And to answer your question about what is my favorite project, unfortunately, my favorite project never happened. It was Montserrat College of Art's Art in Odd Places. We gave them just a little under $2,500, which is very unusual. Most of our grants are like $250 to $1,500. And the reason is their project was supposed to take place in 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020. It was an amazing project. It would have engaged all the students. It would have engaged the community on this creative treasure hunt. It could have brought people in from out of town to help the creative economy and just bring artistry into Beverly streets. Everything about it was so well planned. The budget was just right. And I hope they could resurrect it again. But a couple of projects that did happen is in 2024, there was the Improbable Poetry Tour. That was Colleen Michaels' project. That was 2024. As you can see over here, she took poetry to unexpected places. This is the Beverly Airport there. And another one was in 2023, and that was R.D. Murphy, and that was the Fire Escape Plays. And one of the places where he showed it was at Backbeat Brewery, and that was a set of 4 different plays. What we loved about these the most is that it engaged the community. People of all ages could participate. And the creativity of the artists was they reached out to the community and they found unusual places to perform their art and to perform the poetry. And it's just like really well planned. The budget was perfect. And these are the type of projects we like the best. We do take a community survey every year to find out what people want us to prioritize when we spend the money and give out grants. And community events are very high in their priority, music events, as well as projects for senior citizens, as well as school-aged children. If anybody's ever interested in joining the Cultural Council, they can email us at beverlyculturalcouncil@gmail.com.
Thank you. So I'm going to pose one more question to the panel. If folks want to look for Jason, he has a microphone. If you don't feel comfortable asking a question, there will be other opportunities to engage. But do want to encourage folks to go ahead and find Jason. We will be taking audience questions and sentiments in just a few minutes. But first, let's talk about 222 Cabot Street. Why is no one excited? This was it, you guys. Get more excited. Come on. The future of 222 Cabot was recently discussed at a public meeting at City Hall. Beverly Main Streets was actually founded in response to when Family Dollar first moved in and residents wanted to ensure storefronts stayed local. What are your aspirations for 222 Cabot Street based on the needs that you currently see in our community? I will open that up to all of you. Does anyone want like to start? Tom?
Sure. As a neighbor of 222, I have a lot of interest in what we do there. Being somebody who's been here down on Cabot Street for 10 years and seeing things come and go and listening to people, I would say that the number one use, in my opinion, would be a hotel. I think a hotel in downtown. Cabot Lodge is incredible. Please, I love them. They're fantastic, but that's a small boutique hotel. We need something larger, something with some meeting space, something with that draws tourism, that allows the business community to access, as well as all of the college families. So first and foremost, I think it is a perfect opportunity. It has a parking garage or parking lot behind it. It has street access, has walkability to all aspects of downtown. People could walk from there to the farmer's market. They can walk to the train station. They can walk to any of the restaurants, the theaters, Montserrat. So I think that's a no-brainer. Obviously, it might, I'm not the guy funding it and trying to put it together, but as the idea guy.
Well, no, I think that's right. Housing, obviously, mixed use, that's kind of the zoning there. I think affordable housing would be great to see there. Obviously, some parking, it's very constrained in how, obviously, height. If you build 2 levels of parking, you got, maybe 2 or 3 levels above that. It's really challenging to make the numbers work without some kind of public subsidy of some sort of tax credit. That's really how the math kind of works on that. But we did look at trying to do a hotel down at on Rantoul Street, and we met with some folks, and they said, look, you're not Salem, you don't have the numbers, the foot traffic, you can't get this, you can't get that. And interestingly, I was part of the estimating for the Beaufort Hotel in Gloucester, and the only way that worked, even when we were trying to build that and get the numbers to work, was because that owner, the New Balance guy, I think, just wanted it to happen. It was just like, it's not a numbers thing, it's just make it work. And he ended up putting a pool on the roof after it was just an amazing passion project. I think that's what kind of the math points to that, and I think it would be good if there could be a hotel there that's an instant driver, I think, but it's hard to compete with housing needs too, so I don't know. It's
Ryan, I'm curious your thoughts in regards to a hotel, because we obviously have fantastic shows that happen at the Cabot. We know that the train makes us really accessible. How would a hotel potentially impact your work at the Cabot?
So I think the biggest way, obviously for people to come from various places and stay the night to come see a show here at the Cabot or at the Larkham would be amazing, but the bigger benefit for us would be a place for the artists to stay. So many times these artists come and there's 12 people in this company and there's not enough room for them at the Cabot Lodge, so they go someplace else. They usually end up going to Danvers to stay. So if we could keep those people here, they're looking for something to eat for lunch, they're looking for breakfast place, something place to eat after the show. So that would be incredible for us to have that as a resource here just down the street. My other thought for a space, knowing that a hotel may be a little bit difficult to do, well, first, I love the idea of artist workspaces, but I think Montserrat may have some exciting news to talk to us about, that perhaps that need is going to be met in the very, very near future, like starting a few days ago. So then I got thinking about what else would really work there. And before I actually came to Beverly, I was trying to get a startup company off the ground, and what I really needed was workspace because I don't work from home well. So there was like a WeWork space. It was a different name, but it's the same idea. So I thought something that's like that might actually be very interesting because it'll bring entrepreneurial people in town, but more importantly, it'll bring them to town during the day when restaurants are open for lunch and there's just not enough of us down here to fill that need. So I eat a Thai salad at least twice a week. So I think that would be great. And that would also allow then for above that residential affordable housing.
We almost had that. We were working with Gather, which is in Ipswich. They wanted to be on at 211 Rantoul Street, and they had a subsidy to do it, but then COVID hit, and their expansion plan didn't work.
COVID, it's a theme.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
What will 2030 bring? Brenda, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I agree. I think mixed use would be a perfect use of that space, just doing something commercial on the street side. What surprised me working on the 2030 committee is when we looked into the building more, that building used to be a 4-story building. And there was so much pushback when it was presented to go up higher. And that was a big surprise to me.
Yeah, for those unaware, I think it was a fire in the 1930s, and then it it did not get rebuilt to 4 floors. It's now at 2, which we found in our digging with our 2030 committee. Do we have any questions from the audience? I do have others, but I'd love to hear from you all. I can't really see. Yep, Jason's heading your way, Liz.
I'm wondering why none of you said grocery store. Mixed-use building with a grocery store.
I actually, that would have been my, if I had more time to give multiple options, the second would have been Trader Joe's in the first floor with the parking in the back to draw people down, because as much as community groceries, I live in Wenham and Crosby's is fantastic to jump in and grab something real quick, but community grocery stores tend to have to charge so much that families like myself with kids can't always afford to shop there. We have to go to Market Basket most of the time. But to have something like a Trader Joe's, that will draw a lot more people down. It does have high quality foods, health-oriented foods. So I would say that would be the number 2 for me.
We tried. We talked to Shoebies. We talked to Crosby's. We talked to the other. There's a couple of. Yeah, there were a few others. Woodbury. We tried to bring it downtown, and they all said the same thing. In the Northeast, the margins are extremely tight. They work on volume, and the foot traffic just isn't here, and the parking and the loading, and to put all that together, just the ingredients are hard to get right for those guys to be successful. But there's no doubt it's a need. It's just so challenging. But yeah, when I say mixed use, I do mean like food, something that is needed. Could be things like that, for sure.
Right, we have a hand right here, and then Mikey in the back. Thanks, Jason.
Hi, my question is about affordable housing and just the importance of that. I am a social worker and work with clients, and even today a client was told that they were put on a wait list for housing, but it would be 8 years for them to get a house. And so just wondering, if we are the hottest zip code, how are we going to be the hottest zip code for those who can't afford rent at all?
That's a good question. Our business is oriented around market housing, and when we do that, we have to deliver on what the zoning prescribes, which I think is 12%, that's 60% AMI. That's kind of what the city mandates if we build projects in town. I think if you go above that, the problem with Beverly is that they can't get access to a lot of the state subsidies that, say, someone like Salem can get with the HDIP and the tax increment exemptions that do allow deeper affordability for market rate developers such as us. So there's a lot of gray area between what we do and then the world of like a Harbor Light Homes, where they do tax credit projects, where they deliver mission housing that is almost 100% at 50% AMI or, deeper income levels, deeper affordability. So it's just, from our vantage, it's just a whole different business to deliver nothing but affordable housing. And it's dictated by, the state guidelines and getting in line to get those tax credits, and then, or the community has to do what's like on the anchor point, which was designate a zone that the state says is going to be affordable housing, and then they get state money, but that doesn't happen, quickly or a lot. So, but I agree. I guess some part of the answer that I would say is build more housing, right? I mean, at some points, if there's enough supply, but I don't know where that ends.
Habitats for Humanity, we build homes for affordable homes, but it's a matter of finding properties where we can build.
Yeah. One thing that you may have noticed I didn't say in our report findings, and you won't see it in the report, is that affordable housing didn't come up. And you might hear that and be surprised, but I think it's indicative of where we're at. It sort of feels like this overarching theme, and we're talking about these other pieces and components of what would make Beverly great, but I do think that affordable housing obviously is seen in all of those other themes, whether it be access to social services, access to a grocery store downtown because you don't have a car. It wasn't intentionally omitted, it just really wasn't included in responses. And then again, when we looked at phase 2 and developing phase 2 of our survey, building it off of phase 1, truthfully, we may needed to go back and look at something like affordable housing, and if it isn't in there, can we weave it into those questions in some other ways? I think I saw Mikey with the hand raised. Perfect. Thanks, Jason.
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing at this point? Right, this is going to be a general question. When is there going to be more art events? Because I've been wanting to get more inspiration out of my own little brain. And all these other wonderful people who are artists, when are those going to happen?
Sure, thank you, Mikey. So Beverly Main Street is hosting an art crawl, which will take place from November 1st to the end of the month. Was that the 30th? Can't remember if we go to 31 in November or not. And the art crawl is going to feature artists' work throughout Beverly. So that's a partnership that we do. We bridge small business owners with Beverly-based artists. Their work is on display all month. And then we also have an artist reception. At the end of the year, we have the application open for our arts festival, which will be taking place in June. And we really try to have arts happening all the time. So definitely reach out to us. It would be great for any business in town to not have stock images and just have local Beverly-based artists. I think that's something we can all work to do. Any other questions? Yep, right there at the back. Oh, sure. Can we just get, before we go to the next question, a clarification on AMI?
Area median income? Area median income. It's household median income. Yeah.
Yes.
Just one more quick plug for Trader Joe's. Outside of the one on 114, I think I've been in 6 cities where the problem, it seems as though Trader Joe's picks places that don't have enough parking on purpose, which I think is part of their buzz.
It is.
We have the perfect location.
There you go. There you go.
Absolutely. Other questions? Yep, we have right down here.
Couple of things. One is we're talking about that property that's was 233 Cabot Street?
222 Cabot.
222 Cabot. And there's like, oh, we want to do this and this and this. Is like 10 things to put into one thing. What do we know anything about the old St. Mary's School? I know there's a charter school there now, and I believe they are moving out. And I know it's probably owned by the diocese, but like, that's a pretty nice big piece of property that's right downtown. Do we know anything about what might be happening with that?
It's owned by the Archdiocese.
It was,
Right. Are they gonna? But like, are they just gonna sit on it, or is there any thought, any rumors that they're gonna like want to sell it?
We knew that it was for sale. Like I think it was 2018. I think they came out and said, "Okay, we want to sell." We had some negotiations. It went nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It literally went like up to the top and up to wherever it goes, and then it came back and said, "We're not selling." And it was like, all right, I guess that's the end of that.
Yeah.
And we tried again, and it was the same thing, because I think they came back and said, well, we're ready to sell. And we were like, okay, and they were like,
Bummer. That is a location that's been flagged as potentially developing or utilizing. It's being underutilized right now, so absolutely. And did you have a second?
Yeah, so I had a second one. Literally the number one thing that I end up talking about with my friends all the time. So I'm of a certain age. I would love to move out of my house at some point down the line and move into something. So this is kind of related to the affordable, but it's also there's no middle. There's no place. Literally, I want to cry. I feel like I have to leave. I'm going to have to leave Beverly because I don't have anywhere that I see that I can move into to downsize a little bit where I would own. And I lived briefly in one of the apartments downtown because I had to move out of my house for some personal reasons for a little while. And I want to be living in a place where people own, where there's a sense of investment and ownership in the community. And I don't see condos and townhouses and multi-unit dwellings for people. And I also don't see the entry point for people who want to come in who can't afford to buy a 4-bedroom house like where I live first. So there's not an entry point for the middle the middle range, and there's no exit point for people and I'm trapped in my house because I can't move out of it, and I don't want to move to Salem. I don't want to move to some other communities around here. I love it here, and I see nowhere to go. I look at, just out of curiosity, look at real estate things. I almost never see anything that's the kind of thing I work for. And I talk with my friends about this all the time, and I see nothing. So I'm very frustrated about not just the affordable thing, which I'm totally supportive, and I think it's super important, but there's not a mid-range. And we're the people that a lot of times we're spending the money in the communities, and we're volunteering, and we're working at jobs, and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like there's nowhere.
I know there's been conversations, I don't know if folks on the panel want to share, but I know there's been conversations at the state level because there are folks that want to downsize. I know anecdotally in my neighborhood, my next door neighbor has a 3-family property. Her sibling or her children lived on, different floors, and she's in her 90s living on the first floor because she doesn't have anywhere else to go. But she's sitting on a property that she could potentially rent out those other 2. So I know it's something that the Healy-Driscoll administration had been looking into. Chris, was there something you wanted to add to that?
Well, we have maybe a few thoughts. The depot condos that we did downtown, those are condos we did in 2006, and lucky for us, we sold them all right in 2008 when everything crashed and we lost tons of money on it. And that's part of the problem, is that you're building, they take 2-3 years to build. By the time you're selling it, what if interest rates are 10% and no one, all your, prices go down, everything. It's a hard business to get to work from an economic standpoint. It's hard to get it to work. I know it sounds like an excuse, but it's one thing that just has, the tax benefits aren't as good for the person doing it, because once they sell the units, they have to pay 40% taxes or whatever. It's challenging. It's got its challenges, but in the market, I do see a need for sure for that kind of housing. And by the way, when we have to do 12 at 60% AMI, it doesn't cost us less to build a unit. We have to sell those for like $100-something thousand, but it costs us $500,000 to build. You have to sell, 5, 6, 7 of those in a 40-unit development, something like that. It makes it even more challenging to do when land is expensive and building costs and interest rates for us are expensive too. So it's just, I don't know how to get that to work. Other communities must do it. I see other communities with more of this kind of housing. Yeah.
Yeah, so Beverly is definitely unique. Salem is going to look a little different because it is a gateway city and there's certain distinctions tied to Beverly. I do want to make it clear, we obviously opened it up to questions, but thank you also for the sentiments because we need this feedback. We work in close partnership with the city. There's a lot of city officials here, also state representation. We have Hannah Bowen in the room, so please continue to share that and continue to engage with us because we want to know that. Jason, we have one right here and then we have one over here. Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
You guys are popular. Shout out Beverly Beat because I read an article from them this week In addition to Beverly being the hottest zip code, we also have just discovered that around 40% of Beverly's residents live below the poverty line, which is super interesting. As business owners and as people like operating businesses in the downtown, obviously a lot of the cost of doing business and the cost of maintaining property in Beverly is also tied to, the cost of living and affordable housing and all of that. So what do you feel are some of the core systemic issues that are driving that divide of us being a very rich city while having a very large population under the poverty line? And how do you feel that we as a community could potentially address some of these issues to more specifically to like encourage small business owners to be able to operate in the downtown?
It's a great question. You guys.
As a small business owner, I mean, this is all of these recent questions and comments mean a lot because we cannot grow as a community, a business community, without employees. And right now, the challenge that I run into is we're on the higher end of our industry of what we pay, and the challenge. Normally, pre-COVID, we would run at about 22-23% margins with labor, meaning for every dollar I brought in, 22 cents of it went to pay my staff, and now we're almost at 40% because of elevated costs and insurance. We offer insurance and all of those items to people to make sure that they have a good quality of life. But a lot of them can't live in our community, and they have to commute. They have to take trains. I just had one of my cooks who actually just asked me to transfer and move from working in my Beverly restaurant to one of my Boston restaurants because it was more affordable for him to live in Roxbury than it was to live here. And so he just moved to one of my other places because it is challenging. We're talking about building units to purchase, but really what we have an issue with is we don't have affordable rent here. And that's one of the bigger issues that we run into. What is the systemic? I'm not that smart. I don't know. I can't tell you the cure of it. I don't know that. All I know as a business owner is, and I know this from a lot of other business owners I speak to in downtown, we all care very much, even though sometimes you get the big bad business owner reputation. We're not rich people. I'm not a rich man. I'm a family-owned business, but I take care of my staff. I do everything I can for them, and when I feel when they're going through pain, I feel their pain. And so we will not be able to grow our business community if our employees can't live in our community. And so we do need to have a solution to that. And the first thing is got to be finding affordable rent. And I don't know the answer to your question on how to fix it. I only know that I'm going to do everything I can for my employees to make sure that they don't go home and can't pay their bills.
I think it's just real quick though. I think it's hard to solve a local problem when there's a national problem. We saw construction costs almost double in 10 years. I mean, how do you keep building housing when it costs you twice as much? Oh, and by the way, interest rates are now twice what they were 3 years ago. So it's like, I don't know where that ends. Now we got tariffs. And, I mean, I don't know where it ends.
I'm certainly not an expert in this field at all, but I could just speak to where I was coming from in South Carolina. In addition to the building costs that you mentioned, it's also the land acquisition costs. In South Carolina, we had lots of empty land. So when we wanted to build affordable housing or affordable rents, there was places that people could go and buy the land fairly inexpensively. As someone who just moved here and has been trying to find a place to live, that doesn't exist. And again, it's a national problem. The local solve, it's important, and we have to do it. I've had the same issue that you had with people who can't afford to come and work here. I just wish I knew the answer.
Maybe I have two answers. More height and no parking. Let me just build housing, let me do it quickly. Don't give me red tape. Let me do it fast. You know what I mean? Like that would be less cost for me that would happen faster and let me, less red tape. But
Just so the audience is aware, Chris, can you explain, when you say more height, there's currently a limit on how high buildings can be in downtown Beverly, just to orient the crowd?
yes. So downtown by the train station used to be 75 feet. That was taken away, so it's 55 feet now. And I think Cabot Street is now 4 stories, or 45 feet, I think. I don't remember, but it's not 5 stories anymore. So.
And parking relating to how many parking spots need to be available for each?
So I think in the CC zone, it's 1 per bedroom is what we have to deliver. And when you have to do it in kind of urban-ish sites, it has to be structured, which means it has to be in a concrete and steel garage, and then you build above it. It's called a podium. Adds cost. You're talking $70,000, $80,000 a unit, plus the cost of the land, which is $40,000, $50,000 a unit. Before you even break ground, you're at $100,000 plus a unit, and then you start building. And that's just for the parking and to get started. That's why you're seeing more development, I think, further out, because if land is less costly, 4 or 5 stories by right, surface parked, no garage parking, it's cheaper to build, and the rents are, people still commute. Or now we see a lot of people working remotely, which is out of COVID, I think. But anyway.
I believe, question right there, perfect, thank you.
Hi, my name is Holly Stern. I'm a downtown business owner for about 20 years. I've lived in downtown Beverly for 30 years. I went to college in downtown Beverly, and now I'm raising my family in downtown Beverly. I live on Home Street. My business is a home office. And I'd like to comment on a few of the topics that we were discussing quickly. The supermarket, I don't know if the conditions have changed, but when I moved here, there wasn't enough business in the supermarkets to drive a supermarket to stay. That's why Bell Market went out of business. Nobody patroned it. Trader Joe's can't be here. They left Vinnon Square because they don't have enough parking. So that's not an easy, the supermarket challenge to downtown Beverly historically has been challenged by patronage and the ability to access the store. In regards, I'd love to be able to have my kids run to a supermarket too, to grab something. So I'm on board with that idea, but I see the challenges. I see why it's not that easy. In regards to trying to own a multifamily house in downtown Beverly, rent it out affordably to people so they can live there, it's really hard when you've paid so much money for your house and you have to make a certain amount of money in rent in order to pay your mortgage. And so I don't think this panel is able to solve that problem because, as you said, it's way bigger than us. We'd love to buy another property in downtown Beverly or in Beverly at all, and we can't get in on anything because it's not approachable for us. And we can't rent our apartment any cheaper. We already give a really, really great rental rate to our tenants who've been there for 6 years for that reason.
Would you mind reminding me the name of your business? I didn't catch it.
It's Harrington Events.
Okay, perfect.
And,
yeah, we do have a few more questions, and we're about to wrap. I would love to sit down and talk to you more, but yes, absolutely. If you want to,
I just want to comment on parking because it's one of my most important points. I didn't even realize this till recently, but any employee I have come work in my office has to pay for a monthly parking pass. And that in itself is a burden to some of these small businesses downtown. And I wanted to say that out loud because I think it should be addressed as a way to relieve some of the small businesses of some of their cost. Because if I have to pay $25, and my in-laws come and stay with me, and so every single person in my house is now having to pay to park and live and work downtown. And finally, I'd just love to throw in clean water, because we have to deal with that. And I'd love to see my street repaired, because it looks like, we have trees growing out of every sidewalk. And if you have any accessibility issues, that's a challenge. Mm-hmm. And so before we think about other things, maybe thinking about our infrastructure, maybe should be on that list of considerations.
Thank you so much. And then I will have business cards in the lobby. Folks, please continue to reach out to us because we do want to be as accessible as possible. I'm happy to talk through some of those concerns and sentiments. I have a question down over here. I think we probably have time for 2 more questions, 1 more after this. Perfect, we have 2 right here. Awesome.
I'm going to save you time right now because it was going to be redundant in what you said about it wasn't just like in defense of Beverly, a housing problem that we have. It's the national crisis. Absolutely. So, I mean, I feel your pain. I've been kind of in the business of buying and selling homes for 20 years. It's not just Beverly, it's everywhere. And we're very, very different from Salem. We're very, very different from Gloucester. We're just our own.
We're running out of land too, yeah. Or at least, you know, really good land that's connected to infrastructure.
Right. I have, gentlemen, I have 2 more questions, and then again, this is our entry point, our conversation where we launch the report, but we need these conversations to continue to happen. So if we didn't get to your questions, we'll be in the lobby, and always happy to sit down with anyone. So we'll head to you.
Thank you all. I wanted to swing it back to culture. So we have incredible art, music. The city has so much to offer. Kudos to Main Street for publishing, you know, now a weekly, listing of events. But it only contains, like we get Montserrat has incredible gallery shows all the time during the school year. Is there a way, and I know it's not easy, but is there an anchor or somebody that can provide a one-stop digital place and or published? Look, I'm an older guy, so I used to grab a newspaper. In the back of the newspaper, you could every week in your weekly, you get all your arts. Right? So you knew what was playing, you knew what was coming, and it was a one-stop shop. We have so much to offer. And you have to go searching for all this stuff. And I just think if the Cabot's having a concert, hey, a few hours before that concert, beyond dining, are there other events? How do people tie all these things together? Just to pump up that art and cultural aspect of the city, which is so strong.
Right. So I would encourage any business or anyone that's hosting an event to always tag us, or they can submit an event on our website. We do have an event listing for everything that's happening in the community, whether it be something at the Cabot, a meetup at the castle. All of those events live there. That feeds into our weekend roundup. So if you aren't seeing an event there, please encourage those businesses to submit their events because we really want that to be that one-stop shop, as you mentioned. We do have a new interactive map on Beverly's website. So it's if you go to bevmaine.org, you'll be able to access it, and it's actually an interactive map where you can see all the different establishments, and we'll be rolling out passports as well related to experiential kind of events that have a singular or similar thread. So it's not perfect. It's definitely something we continue to work on over time, but we really do see ourselves as that one-stop shop. So if you see events happening and they're not on there, tell people to submit them. Anyone can submit them. We really want people to know what's happening because you're right, there's a ton happening in Beverly. I think, is that an orange shirt, red shirt? Yeah, perfect. This will be our final question, and then we'll have some closing remarks from the city of Beverly.
Great, thank you. To wrap it up, I think I haven't heard any discussion of the waterfront yet and waterfront accessibility. I don't know how that plays into the plans, but I think that's a huge opportunity for Beverly, and I think there's a lot of area right now in the downtown that could be developed. So I want to know if there's any plans for it, what people are talking about, all that stuff. So,
Chapter 91, right? That's what it's for. I mean, the interesting thing is there's a ready, willing, and able developer who owns the bowling site that can't do anything to make that something special and activate that site because there's no zoning. So I totally agree. I mean, Sedna down on the water has a whole Chapter 91 path that people can walk and park down there. I totally agree. I think that's important. I mean, it's one of the major assets of Beverly, being able to access the water. The Bass River, to me, would be an amazing activator from the Odell Park down to the waterfront. That would be great. Not sure we have willing sellers on either side of that bowling site, but, you know, it's a great idea, for sure.
I will say that Beverly Main Street's what brought me into Beverly Main Street 10 years ago. We were working on the 2020 plan, and really the linchpin piece of that plan was the waterfront. And people have been trying to bring downtown to that point. But there are a lot of a lot of roadblocks that have gotten in the way of it. But
Including no bridge.
yeah, no bridge is a big one now too. National Grid's down there with that whole.
There is a light there now, right? I think
There
there's
is a
like a
light.
street light.
It's not on, but the light's there.
It's happening. It's happening. It's coming. It's coming.
There's tons of
One,
parking down there.
one step at a time. There's parking. There's pigeons. There's a lot of pigeons.
Thank you. Thank you to our panel for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd now like to invite up Erin Schaefer from the City of Beverly for some closing remarks, and then I will be back with a final call to action.
Hello, can everyone hear me okay? Erin Truex is very tall. So I'm Erin Schaefer. I'm a resident of Beverly, and I'm also your economic development planner in City Hall. In that role, I serve as a business liaison, and I also have the pleasure of working on a team to work on planning, policy, grant writing, and project management to help meet community needs. Our doors are always open, and we're here to help, and thank you so much for all of your comments this evening, and thank you to the 2030 committee and for all of your feedback. Your input really helped shape our community, and I really mean that. So thank you again for all of your feedback. Beverly Main Streets and the City of Beverly share a really strong partnership. We have for quite some time, and it's been a true pleasure to work with Beverly Main Street staff over the last 2 years that I've been serving as your economic development planner. Together, we are always sharing ideas and working to put together policies and invest in our community. At the city, at the direction of Mayor Cahill, our planning department and community development, our planning and community development department, and the Mayor's Economic and Community Development Council are working to build on this recent planning work, including integrating the 2030 feedback from this evening to create the city's first citywide economic development action plan. This work will be taking place, it's actually taking place now, it started in August. We'll be doing some further public engagement this fall and into the early winter, and our plan will be completed by late next spring. This document is meant to identify implementation strategies for all the things that you've been talking about this evening, and related actions and community partnerships to help continue to meet the city's broad economic development goals and all the issues that you've brought up this evening. Our work is clearly not done, it never will be, and it's always ongoing. So again, our doors are open, and we invite you to come and speak to us. We continue to look forward to working together, particularly with Beverly Main Streets, all their volunteers, and thank you to everyone this evening.
So thank you again for everyone that was here this evening. The work of Beverly Main Streets and the planning for the future of Beverly, let's see, very tall, would not be possible without you all. If you are able, there's opportunities to make a donation outside via a QR code. All donations directly support our efforts to promote and enhance downtown Beverly. In the lobby, you will also be able to pick up the full report. We hope that tonight was just the beginning for many conversations about our collective future that we cannot do without you. And we look forward to working with you all. Thank you so much.